Sometimes some mods are just crazy good. The 780 and the 770 TerraTracks are both in that category. However, there's always room for improvement. We might have found that this season. Somehow, I don't know. All right, we had, we'll come to this thing in just a moment. We had a New Holland. This was the L624. We had the John Deere W540. We had Gleaner. There's something in a Gleaner something. Two Gleaners. What was this thing? S77 and R75. One is the other. And then a Lexion 550. Now, that's a little bit of harvester. We also had a Neva. But the Neva is something different, and we're gonna kind of deal with the Neva on its own merits, completely different from everybody else. Okay, so what do we think? Well, let's start with the mention. I'll just mention the two Gleaners. They're just monolithic. The grain holds are just black voids of nothingness. There's nothing that really calls them out to me and makes me go, wow, Gleaners, I need Gleaners. No, it doesn't happen. So I'm thinking no to the Gleaners. In fact, we're just going to mention the Gleaners, and I'm going to sell them here because I'm trying to find something else out. So we're going to go ahead and sell our two Gleaners. Sell and sell. Okay. All right, so we have three what amount to medium-sized harvesters. We got the 550, we got the W540, and we've got the L624. They all do fine. They all work-ish. I would actually say of these, well, I actually would say me to all of them. I would give them all, well, I don't know. Let's give them all honorable mentions. I mean, they work-ish. If you properly position them all and do all that kind of stuff, they work. And that's good. That makes us happy. We're happy to have working harvesters. The New Holland comes with two heads on it, two different size grain heads, which is good. Lets you choose the right size for you. I don't think it has any... No, it doesn't really have any. It does have a straw chopper on board, which is good. We always like straw choppers. So I think these all have straw choppers, honestly, which is pretty much like the base. This one has the switch to working mode, which is, for me, you know, that's a little bit extra. That's a little bit cool right there. You're like, oh, okay, well, let me switch to working mode. Excellent. Look at that. And that gives it a little something. In fact, that gives it a little something that's probably going to make me want to move it up. Nah, I'm going to give them all honorable mentions. I think they all are going to do a good job. It's pretty much take your pick of the litter. The three of them, I don't think you're going to go wrong. So yeah, let's make them disappear for a moment. John Deere, where are you? There you are, John Deere. And there we go. Sell that as well. Right. Okay. So let me get this 780 out of here really quick because now I know what my problem is. Go away 780. Let's get our two Gleaners back. And our New Holland. I lied. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm checking frame rates at the same time. Okay, so then we have this Neva. Oh, man, the Neva. The Neva isn't just a harvester. It's a build your harvester. It comes with a whole bunch of little bits. You can put different backs on here if you want to get straw, if you want to get bales, if you want to get, I don't know, jelly beans, I guess. And then it's got different front ends depending on what you want to do at the front, whether you want to harvest corn or whether you want to harvest grain or whether you want to chaff it. It's just a crazy little toy. And it gets it's category unto itself. It gets an award for Build a Harvester. That's what it gets. Award for Build a Harvester. Okay, so an award for Build a Harvester. We get honorable mention for the New Holland L624, an honorable mention for the W540. Yeah. A mention to the 2 Gleaners. Actually, I revised that. A dishonorable mention to the 2 Gleaners because they annoy me. They're too monolithic and silly. And an honorable mention to the Lexion 550. The 770, 780, they're going to keep their crowns because, my goodness, they're just good tractor. They're good harvesters. But if you need a harvester for a smaller farm that can't handle those, that Lexion 550 or the New Holland or the John Deere, they'll do the job. The Neva, if you really just want to build your own harvester as you go, just buy a piece here, a piece there. You can build your own harvester. I think you have to buy the front and a back to actually get it to work properly, but whatever, you can test that and see. Avoid the Gleaners unless you really need a Gleaner. I don't like them. They need some serious TLC before I would recommend them. All right, that's harvesters for you. I would stick with the 770, 780 if you're on a large farm. 550, the W5 whatever John Deere, and the New Holland L something if you have a medium-sized farm, and the Neva if you want to build your own harvester. All right, we'll find our next mod category. Welcome to the always fun mod category of classic tractors. This is actually, I think this is probably the smallest classic tractor set I've had, I want to say ever. It's pretty small when you consider that these 4 IHs are 1 pack. So it is Big Bud, the IH86 pack, the IH3588, and the Renault. That's all we covered this season. These are the Ford Forces that were the winners from last season. Is this all of them? Yeah, it's all of them. All right, so we really have 4 vehicles here going up against the Ford Forces. This one's actually really tough, and it's really tough on me because the IHs are generally really good pieces of equipment, but they had trouble with course play repeatedly. The 86s, especially. The 3588, I tried once on course play here in Westbridge Hill Farms. It did basically what you saw happen in my my playthrough, where the tractor just drove straight and ignored the course. And that could have been the course, for all I know, with the 3588. But I have a feeling, because it's identical in most respects, and in fact from the code, from the XML, it looks nearly identical, it's a course play versus IH problem. Some of you say, oh, that doesn't happen to me, or that happens to me on other tractors. It's only happened to me with the IHs. I can course anything with the Ford Force. I can course anything with the Renault. I haven't tried anything with Big Bud because really, why would I? I've never had a tractor do that to me. And the thing is, I want to ride along in most of my courses. Most of the courses I do are not as short as the ones I was doing on the Duke farming map. Most of my courses are much longer, or they're multiple courses that have to link together perfectly. And in order for that to happen, and yes, I don't do this on playthrough games because I like to derp on the playthrough games. I do this, and then if these fail, I don't know where they failed unless I ride along. And that's what's important to me, to be able to ride along in my courses, and I can't do that. So this is a really tough category for me. Let's start with Big Bud because he's the easy one here. Big Bud is derp. Big Bud is big, but Big Bud is working. Unlike first season, someone did mod in a 3-point hitch, which makes Big Bud much more useful to everybody. Big Bud hauling like that case air seeder, that would look beautifully perfect. I mean, I think Big Bud would just motor with that. But is it an amazing classic tractor? No. It still needs a little bit of fit and finish here and there. I'd love to see that engine detailed a little bit more. Just small little things here and there that would just make it better. And I also think someone, when they remodeled it, actually downsized it in terms of size, because it doesn't seem like it's the right size. I think it should be bigger. So I'm going to give it an honorable mention. Wow, going from a don't bother to honorable mention. Good job, Big Bud. Yeah, if you ever want to see the first Big Bud, just go look at my season 1 with Big Bud. It was just a terrible, terrible episode of backflipping tractors. All right, so that leaves the IH86, the IH3588, and the Renault vying it out here. Here's a big thing. If you like IH, and if you can handle the fact that courseplay is not necessarily always going to work with them, these IHs are nice. Some of them are a bit down on power. Some of them, like the turbo, seem to be able to handle things just fine. This one obviously can handle quite a bit with its flexy nose. It is a little bit odd to drive, but you get used to it. I struggled with this one. I really did. I kind of was like, honorable mention, award. I'm not sure what I want to do with them. And then I started thinking about the little Renault here. I know there's like a love-hate relationship with this Renault. Some of you love the Renault. Some of you hate the Renault. The thing with the Renault is, when it came down to it, when the chips were down, I could call them the Renault. It's inexpensive at $12,000. It does everything the 3588 or the turbo can do. It has a few little extra features here and there. The only downside is it has those stupid cultivating wheels. So really good all-around tractor with cultivating wheels. Really nice tractor that can't do course play. What do I hate more? That's what it came down to. It's like, what bothers me more? The cultivating wheels, which I know about and can work around or remove, or the course play failures, which I can't seem to localize what is causing that to happen, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Well, in this case, the Renault has taken the award. I mean, in the end, its downside is those cultivating wheels. That's what really kills the Renault. But you can remove them easily. It's a very easy specialization remove. So then you have a great all-round tractor, but some of you hate the Renault. If you hate the Renault, well, the Ford Forces got an award. You can certainly try the IH. I'm going to give the IH a very high honorable mention. Like, they are like a hair's whisker away from an award. Oh, do I really want to do that? Give them an award. You know what? Courseplay isn't everything, and it is, after all, just another mod. So, there you go. We've got quite a set, and because they're a collection. The IH86s, let's give them an award. The IH3588 gets an award. The Renault gets an award. And the Ford Forces, I think, should keep their position, at least right now. And the big reason being, here you're looking at a full gamut. Ignore Big Bud. You're looking at a full gamut of vehicles that you can buy on your farm, from the inexpensive Ford Forces. You work your way through the Renault, up into the IHs. So there you go. There's some great classic tractors for you. Award for the Renault, award for the IHs, both the 3588 and the 86 pack. Honorable mention for Big Bud. We will be right back with our last mod category. Holy green tractors, Batman. Here we are in our modern tractors category. This has been an interesting category, hasn't it? Some of you might disagree with some of the tractors in here as being modern, but that's too bad. Well, okay. The case, this is the Case IH 600 Steiger. This looks like, to all intents and purposes, basically like the in-game one. This actually comes in the Duke farming set with the Case air seeder. It's got a different weight script on it to handle the air seeder. Quite honestly, I don't notice any difference. And you can haul that air seeder with anything else, big and powerful. So I'm just going to give it a mention. So a mention to that, just so you know it's there. We had the Cat Challenger. I can't get in here. The Cat Challenger, which was a nice big tractor, big beefy piece of equipment. It did haul the Case air seeder just fine. We had the John Deere 9630, which this is the first 9630 I've gotten to work. I think I've tried 3 or 4 of them, and they keep crashing the game. This one was modified by Duke to remove all of the extras, so it's basically a stripped down model. Has no scripts running or anything like that, and that's why it works apparently. So it's a working 9630. We had the Fendt Xylon, which it's like a tractor that forgot its front end. Yeah. We had the Chamberlain here, which is quite the big monster tractor. It is massive. Some of you might say it actually belongs in the classic tractors. Quite honestly, I didn't know. And so it ended up here. And then we had the John Deere 7L and 9L or something like that. I think that's right. Whatever. I put it correctly because I actually double and triple checked it in the link to the Google document, which is down below. The Google document is actually correct. All right, so let's start with. Oh, I'm stuck. Let's start with this Fendt Xylon. Dishonorable mention to the Fendt Xylon. It just acts silly. It drives silly. I don't think it's quite there yet. It needs some physics work, and its colors look so washed out, especially the wheels and the rear fenders and this underside. It just looks washed out and unfinished. It's like they have this very beautiful back end, and then they have wires that go into the wheel for no reason. Yeah, I mean it's like they're trying and they're nearly there. I just think it just needs a little bit of tuning. It's almost there. I don't know what it actually represents in terms of tractors, but there you go. 9630. This thing, the interior is just, dead. But we knew this because, as I said, it's been stripped down to actually work. That being said, it still accelerates a little bit too much for me. It turns a little bit oddly for me. I didn't get the same sort of presence on the ground as I get from some other tractors. I'm going to give it a mention as well. If you really need a 9630, this is 9630 that works, which is better than I can say for a lot of them. But I would like to see the mod authors who worked on those ones turn their hands at the 9630. I think that would be awesome. The Challenger actually I felt was better than the 9630. I'm going to give it an honorable mention. It is. See, it starts up immediately. It actually ignores the manual ignition mod, and it's got like a lot of nice little interiors, a little cat cell phone there, all that. You do have to know how to turn it off, which is the enter on the numpad. That can always get you. You do have to be careful with that kind of stuff because as a mod author, people like me who run the manual ignition mod can get kind of annoyed when your tractor starts up and then is left running. If you tab through, it'll start up and then it's running and you run out of gas and then you're annoyed. But whatever. Chamberlain. I don't even know what to think of this thing. I mean, it obviously can pull everything in a bag of chips. It's designed. Well, I don't know if it's designed for, but it comes with that big 100,000 liter Chamberlain trailer, and it fits. That Chamberlain trailer fits behind this big massive monster here. Quite honestly, I'd get the Chamberlain pack, pitch the tractor, and get something like any of these other tractors, the Cat or any of these John Deeres, and pull the trailer. I'm going to give it a oh man, I was going to say a mention, but it works. It doesn't have like the best interior, but it has decent interior. I don't know where I get out of this tractor, to be honest. Like there's no door. I just realized that. There's no door to get into that cab. Huh. Yeah, let's just give it a mention. I don't think it's going to be too super useful on your farm, especially if you go get, the Challenger or some of the other big pieces of equipment out there. I'd honestly rather run Big Bud than this, because Big Bud at least will fit into everything. This thing is like 12 feet, too long. It's like someone, I mean, obviously that used to be the end of the tractor right there, and someone tacked the front end of the tractor back on, and there you go. That's one big old tractor. Yeah, so, yeah, just a mention. Let's just do a mention. Because the engine isn't all that. I mean, look, there's no detail. Oh, lack of detail. And really, any of these tractors probably would have done better, except these tractors showed up. I mean, duh. These things were going to beat everybody down from the get-go. These tractors are just phenomenal. You get in. That's awesome right there. You go to the IC. We can move the steering wheel, back and forth, up and down. Start her up. I mean, it's just, everything is accessible here. And some people hate that. And I know that. Some of you are like, oh my gosh, I hate that. But, let's see if I can get close enough. Some people hate that. But let's just be honest. That is a massively intricate level of detail right there. If every engine on every mod looked like that, I'd quit complaining about engines. I mean, it's like the mod author went through every inch of this looking for where do things go? How do I make it look proper? What's the best way to show off this John Deere? Let's close that for starters. The other thing at first I was sort of hesitant about, but if I'm in my John Deere and I release my handbrake. If I press forward, I drive forward. Well, duh. You press forward, you go forward, right? Stop, but I don't go in reverse. And at first I was kind of like, well, why don't I want to hit right control to go into reverse and then press forward to go reverse and then stop and then shuttle and then go forward? And at first I was kind of annoyed by that. And then I started playing Professional Farmer 2014, where you have to do that. Forward is reverse or forward, depending on where you have the gear. And I was like, wow, that's not so bad. And additionally, I felt prepared for Professional Farmer because I've been driving around in these John Deeres on this map here. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. The downside, because there's a downside with something like this. The downside is these things are very script heavy. These are very heavy pieces of equipment to run on your computer. Not on your farm. On your farm, they're fine. But on your computer, there's a lot of scripts called. There's a lot of high resolution detail on these. So it can bog down computers that aren't really powerful. And additionally, in multiplayer, these things are an absolute mess because the multiplayer can't handle it. It often causes crashes and issues with people getting into games because the game is running these John Deeres. So with that caveat, these things take the award. Okay. If you have the machine to handle them, you cannot do better today than these John Deeres. I mean, that's just the end of the story right there. The Chamberlain is a mention. The Cat Challenger is an honorable mention. The Case Steiger is a mention. The 9630 is a mention. Mod authors for those John Deeres, please come in and fix the 9630s. Get us some good ones. The Xylon is just a dishonorable mention because it's derp. And, it's derp. And I don't think it's finished. I think the mod author just needs to go back over it a few times. Maybe take some notes from these John Deeres as to what makes a good mod. All right. You think that's the end of the show? It's not quite the end of the show. I'm going to come back with one last look at the Titanium pack and a little about next week. Be right back. Welcome back. We are here with a lot of the main equipment out of the Titanium pack. Of course, we spent the entire season here on Westbridge Hills Farm, the map off the Titanium pack. And then, they gave us this little farm all here, this whatever it was. I don't even remember. We had the cases, a small or medium, and two larger cases. We had, a nice addition of some good large-size combines. We had this forager here, which is really what caused problems in my forager category, because when you come down to it, this kind of kicked the New Holland and the Force Grit down a bit because it's actually a really good one. Yeah, let's not talk about that just yet. We added the cultivator. This was a great addition here. A nice larger maize and sugar beet sower. That was excellent. Larger swather. That's good. First overloader that they gave us. Sweet. And that mess. It's not a real semi, no matter what you say about it. It's like a mutt semi. It's got a bunch of different pieces that you can identify. If you're a semi aficionado, you can find like Peterbilt and Kenworth and all kinds of other stuff on this thing. But in the end, it's not as nice and pretty as some of the semis you can pick up, like our award winners. What did we think about the titanium pack after playing on this? And, to your eyes, I spend, 30 minutes to an hour a week on this farm, and that's not quite true. I often spend much longer on here because I often play with all of the mods here on this farm for quite a bit afterward, just to make sure there's no little gotchas. Let's talk about the map first. The map is almost there. There's just some things that bother me. The silos are not American silos. They have American silos. You can see them right there in the far off distance there. They have American silos, but then you're using the European kind of weird shaped ones. And then there's all the buildings down at your main farm that don't open. There's the Morton Garage mod has beautiful opening garage doors, but this is Giant's turn to say, hey, modding community, look what we can do. But they didn't do it. They didn't bring out big guns and say, okay, look, you have garages that open now. Go for it. So I felt like you kind of not a great set there in terms of what the farm looks like. Then of course, there's the grass, which is dead. Let's be honest, because some of you kind of make comments about the grass. Out here in Colorado in the summer, this is what our grass looks like everywhere. If it's not watered, it looks like this. So to me, I kind of looked at it going, all right, they're going for Texas, Colorado summer. But I don't know. And it just felt strange. Just felt strange. Additionally, I mean, these guys here, the larger cases, don't have high hitches on them. And that limits their usefulness. You can't haul everything you need to haul. In fact, does this one? Yeah, this one has a high hitch on it. So you can't haul everything you need to haul. Compare this semi to the mod semis we looked at. Okay, some of the mod semis were small, but compare it to the two Peterbilt award winners. This doesn't quite cut it. The overloader. Oh, compare this to the Perard. This doesn't cut it. The Perard is a gorgeous, gorgeous mod where you can read everything on it. Look at that's so low texture you can't even tell what that really is. You know it's a warning sign because logically you're like, oh, that's a warning sign. But it's so low res you can't even see it. But on something like the Perard, you can read the warnings, for goodness sakes. So what does this mean for me thinking about the titanium pack? Well, I think the titanium pack, I hope Giants realize, because I got some feedback and a lot of it was negative. I hope Giants realize that really what we're looking for is them to say, we see what you're doing in the modding community amongst the good mods. Think of those John Deeres. Think about the semis. Think about the overloaders. Some of the tractors. The classic tractors. And we'd like to see Giants go, oh, well, you guys are doing this. We have the code. Why don't we just make things work and make something absolutely awesome and blow us away? That's what I want from Giants and what I would like to see in 2015. The titanium pack, is it worth you buying? You probably already bought it. But if you haven't already bought it, I'd say yes. And why do I say yes? Well, I say yes because these cases, they might not be as modeled as the 770 and the 780 TTs, but they carry some pretty big heads on them. And if you're in a 4X, an 8X, a 16X map, you're going to want these big cases to run around. Also, additionally, this forager and all the components that come with it is just phenomenal, amazing, and definitely worth the price of admission. Additionally, the horse maze and sugar beet seeder is worth it as well, in my opinion. Yeah, there's some stuff out there that does the job, but I mean, this is just a darn good little piece of kit, and that's just cute. But there's better ones out there. They're mods. All right, so there we go. My final thought about the titanium pack is, get it because there's more and more 4X and 16X maps out there that you're going to want to play on, and this equipment is actually going to come in handy for those. What's happening next week? I hope you paid attention all this way. Probably not, but that's okay. Next week, well, it's been almost a year since I started reviewing mods, so we need a mod of the year. So we're going to have to talk about mods of the year and these categories that I have given like 12 different tractors awards. I get to try to choose the one award winners. Yeah, that ought to be fun. Look for that Tuesday, Thursday of next week. And then regular programming to resume sometime after that. All right. Until then, been DerTebbers. It's been your Farming Simulator 2013 Season 4 Mod Award Show. Until the Mod of the Year, happy farming.